go. All right. We're about to get it started. Well, hello everyone. This is PAYTON 3.0 and welcome, okay? If you are new here, let me actually pull this up. Anyway, if you are new here, make sure that you comment, like and all that, whatnot. Share your opinions. I would love to hear them. Um, I want to promote my social medias right now for anybody that is actually into EDM. And hopefully, if you're on here, you are into EDM, okay? So, give me a moment. All right, so my social medias for people who are into EDM, dubstep, or drum and bass is soundcloud.com/Payton30. We have Instagram.com/Payton3 underscore O star. We have Facebook. We have the Facebook Zombatron community, which is the community that is here on Facebook, on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Payton30. Then we have a YouTube, which is youtube.com/C. And the reason why it's C is just how YouTube does it. It stands for channel slash Payton. I'm sorry, I lost it. Payton30 covers hits. Yes, okay. So anyway, that's what it is. So if you're into EDM, and most of you should be on my page anyway, watching this. But for people who are outsiders, too, that's the social medias. Okay. Now the song that you're hearing in the background is me. It's my song called "When I'm Alone It's the Best Time," featuring the producer who produced the track, Dead Nasty. Okay. Now to hear that, like I said, you gotta go to SoundCloud for that. It'll be up there for a limited time, and then it won't be available through my email list. Okay. Which hopefully you'll be on soon. But anyway, the subject today is going to be about, hold on, how EDM took over America in the 2010s. Now here's the thing. There's an article I'm going to read, and with that being said, the truth is EDM, the article should have been titled differently because EDM didn't really take over the 2010s. It was in the 2010s for like the first half of it, maybe the first 3 years or 4 years or so, but then it was knocked out by trap, which to me is debatable, foolish, because whatever. But anyway, we'll get back to that discussion later. The truth is that EDM really did start, and really did start coming in like 2000, the later half of the 2000s. I think when like Lady Gaga came in and she started really doing a more electro EDM pop version of EDM, and then other people started to follow, like Britney Spears. There's somebody named Tayo Cruz from another country that came over. The Black Eyed Peas was doing it. You had LMFAO come out of nowhere, and so it really took over America from like the 2000s to the early 2010s. Yeah, which usually is weird because usually a new era of music of anything would start at the top of the decade, but for some reason, like somebody like Lady Gaga took charge, and everybody in the suit started to follow because they started to see it's actually working over here, and hey, I want to jump on that. All right. So anyway, I'm going to read an article entitled "How EDM Took Over America in the 2010s." Oh yeah, I forgot. For those who are, this is Facebook Live. For those who are on YouTube, for when this is re-uploaded to YouTube after the live premiere, make sure you subscribe, like, comment if you like what it is you're hearing. And if it's not for you, keep it pushing. Okay. Not everything's for everybody. All right, so this is called Dance Dance Revolution: How EDM Conquered America in the 2010s. Okay, in 2011, I was a high school junior mindlessly browsing web forums during psych class when one of my friends messaged me a strange YouTube link. Check this out later, he said, she said, sorry. As we both ignored our lecture, let me actually minimize this really quick. There we go. My friends messaged me on, as we both ignored our lecturer. It's crazy different. The bell rang. The bell rang. The other students filed out, and I popped my headphones in. What ensued sounded terrible. Screeching synths, swollen bass gurgles, and a maniacal sample of someone screaming, "Yes, oh my God," which I later learned was lifted from a viral video of a girl beating her personal best competitive cup stacking time. But when the noise subsided, there was another voice scratchy but soft spoken over twinkling MIDI piano chords. You don't need to hide, my friend. For I am just like you. It assured me that was the first time I heard Skrillex. Scary monsters and nice sprites. I believe that's what it says. I have it on repeat for months. Okay? Listening to Skrillex's first big record, it feels like a microcosm of his career as an electronic producer and former frontman of a post-hardcore band. Because remember, I think he was a part of a rock band at first, and then he switched into EDM. It was almost like EDM at a certain point really became the new rock. Yeah, that's controversial. Anyway, listening to Skrillex's first big record, it feels like a microcosm. I don't know, we already get into that part. Both are bombastic tours. I'm like lost right now, sorry folks. Both are bombastic tours, divorced with moments of genuine beauty interspersed. His style of dubstep was initially framed as an aggro counterpart to the subby club music of South London scene. Numerous dullards across the internet would crudely compare it to two transformers going at it, but teenagers in middle America didn't know anything about UK pioneers like Scream or Benga. So they had nothing to compare it to. Skrillex ended up bringing a new breed of aggression, electronic music, to teeming masses that may not have been exposed to it otherwise. His rise and the rise of bro step came about just as new breeds of euphoric house music were beginning to make waves in the States. These various styles all quickly coalesce under a broader umbrella term, of course, EDM. I'm thinking because I was more like above ground at that time, listening to music on the radio. This is literally a year before I really dived into like the EDM scene and the rave scene for the first time. The next year in 2009, because Lady Gaga was the one that really brought that sound to my attention in sort of ways. But it seems that Skrillex was the one that really, the thing here that really influenced it. So that was very interesting. I really catch that at first, right? But anyway, let's continue. Oh, hello there. How are you today? Sorry I didn't see you watching. How are you? What is your name? Comment where you from. Don't be shy. Anyway, back to the article of how EDM conquered America, okay? because EDM has always been underground for America. Not sure how it's been for your culture, wherever you're from, right, around the world, but in America, EDM was still very underground. You had your house in the 90s, but it wasn't really house the way that EDM underground does it in the rave scene and the concert and like they would do in Europe. Anyway, as EDM began to spread across America, the time honored tradition of adults sneering at young people's music resurfaced like clockwork, okay? Dance music purists mostly held their noses while older generations raised, the raised on guitar music wrote it off as wub wub nonsense, okay? For ecstasy adult kids. But for an entire generation of young millennials, EDM was the first music that felt like it belonged solely to them, to us. Fueled by bass, sub bass, and yeah, sometimes substances, it was a pure break from the harsh realities of life. The rock bands handed down to me by my older cousins suddenly felt like relics from a bygone era, even if they held parallels and their dynamic principles, where Nirvana knit the quiet dynamic of Pixies. The late Avicii, I'm sorry, yes, rest in peace to Avicii. Sad loss for the drug overdose. That goes to show you guys that you can have everything, but as a human animal, you still don't know what to do with it. You can be greatly sad and in the industry, and there's a lot that happens in the industry that people don't really know, And you get into these drugs, and there's all these other things in the background that happen, and you get hooked and addicted, and you end up overdosing. So, rest in peace to Avicii. After progressive house forerunners like Eric prized, perfecting the build-up and drop. Taste changed, but teenage rage is forever. Okay. It's funny because to me, EDM isn't a dirty word at all. Shrilly says now, I call everything EDM, even techno. That's just the terminology. Electronic dance music, it's not a genre, it's a platform. And a means. I was making all these different types of music, but EDM was the music that was blowing up at the time I was making it. Okay? So, as you can see, dance music provided something different on the landscape that the other music that was on the surface in America, you know, decades before, didn't truly provide. Yes, there was music that made you dance or whatever, like pop, and there were upbeat tempos, but there was nothing like EDM music. But here's my gripe with EDM music on the surface in America, on the mainstream radios. There were some artists like Gaga and even Britney Spears got a great producer to produce that Femme Fatale record. If you're a fan of Britney Spears at all, great record to really give EDM justice, right? At least on the record, but for radio, most people doing the EDM didn't give EDM the justice it needed. They watered it down, simplified it, same loops, same kind of sounds. And that's not a bad thing. It's only bad when it's not doing anything, right? It's just the same repetitive. And then there's songs that follow that same formula, and there's no creativity, And I'm thinking personally, maybe that's why people got tired of the EDM, because most of the bulk of the artists that were doing EDM, the pop artists that started doing EDM, a lot of stuff was just kind of watered down and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay. So, and the trap thing took over where more serious subjects came back in. It's just like, okay, whatever. Honestly, I'm glad EDM to stay above the ground because I just don't feel like it got the justice. And us from the underground who are really in the EDM scene and culture, we didn't care about that. We didn't care about it. So it's great that it went back underground because we already had our own community, our own area, right? We didn't really need it to go above ground because, like I said, they'll change it, they'll water it down for an audience that's used to more digestible type of sounds, are not so aggressive and all blah, 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 and more creative and not so electronic. At least not in that way. It's polished. It's whatever. No. Now, let's continue. If I got them on the wrong article. I forget where I was. I'm losing my place. Oh yeah, anyway. So besides what really qualifies a piece of music as EDM, 16 bars of excruciating white noise build up at before a drop, constituencies of wooks and candy kids. I'm a candy kid, especially at heart. I need to go back and get some more candy. Anyway, a lack of adherence to the stricter code codifications. I'm sorry, some of these words are not as used in my vocabulary. Of more underground dance genres, perhaps EDM could be defined the same way Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart characterized this litmus test for whether something should be considered pornography. I know it. I know it when I see it. The problem is, by the end of its meteoric rise this decade, EDM became a moving target for regional styles of co-opted. If you saw, I'm sorry, I'm not addressing the person that just walked in. It's a friend, a brother of somebody, a roommate that's in the house. But anyway, try to focus. By the end of the meteoric rise, EDM was moving a target of regional styles co-opted into mainstream pop trends, very little of which could match the they're really writing in this article. They're really giving me a run for my money. Anyway, by reading money. I was just gonna say outlandish, experimenting, feeling the original material, or the visceral shock of early crossover hits like Scary Monsters and Spirits. Okay, but basically, EDM had its run from in America on the radio and the above with the mainstream artists from 2000 and I don't know 8, 7 to 2007 through 2013ish, where trap started to take over. So yeah, it had its. I think it had a nice moment. It didn't quite last a decade, but honestly, I don't care because, like I said, we already had our own culture as EDM people anyway. A huge culture, a huge subculture, of our own world, fantasy world of escape, and to me, that world is more exciting than the mainstream radio world of things. It's just because what the EDM world as a whole in general across the world brings, it makes you feel, and what it's really all about. But yeah, anyway, if you're on YouTube, like, share, and comment if you like this. I would like to hear your opinions of what you thought about EDM coming to the surface of America, if you're even in this country, if you listen to American music during that time at all. That's where I am anyway in America. I would like to know. And I'm going and I'm going to go ahead and I forget. Put my social medias up one more time for y'all, so y'all don't forget. If you're on Facebook, comment. Let me know, right? What you thought about the EDM music coming to the surface of America on the mainstream music. If you were even listening to American music, like I said, y'all are from all different kind of markets and countries and cities. So, Y'all could not have been paying attention to it, but the point, if you have, comment, comment. And if not, I'll see you on the next one. But here's the social medias one more time. All right, so it's soundcloud.com/Payton30, Instagram.com/Payton30star, Facebook Zombitron Community. It's Facebook.com/Payton30 as well. YouTube.com/C/Payton30 covers hits. Okay, so I'm just leaving that up there for a moment. So can you catch that? And folks, I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.